Hello out there. I'm going to be doing voice commentary for this movie. What I'd like to do is to use this to help explain why I have the build that I have, why I make the choices that I make. And I can also use this to give some general tips and tricks that might be helpful for classes even other than Mesmer. I'm going to use this fight to help explain why I have chosen to use double main hand axe, but this is also a good example of baiting a player. So in the background you see a dragon hunter. I'm trying to bait him into using JI into my block. Notice I have block as a buff here. I've turned my back to him, but I'm panned looking at him so I can see what he's doing. Right, and sure enough, he JIs into me, that gets blocked, and then I evade his root, right? I evade Chains of Light. From this I go into Axe 3. So Axe 3 is a large part of the reason why I chose an axe. It is an excellent ability. It's very good offensively and it's very good defensively. Offensively, it does pretty good damage and it refocuses all your clones onto your target. That's huge in a 1vn. Defensively, it gives you a long evasion frame and it forces a D target. So Axe 3 is one reason why I really like Axe, and here's the other reason I really like Axe. Axe Ambush, which you see here, the axes that are coming from behind me, does not require line of sight. That means that you can use it to damage people that are chasing you while you're kiting away from them. There's not many abilities in Guild Wars 2 that allow you to do that. The Phantasms also do not require line of sight. So you can do a lot of damage to people that are chasing you. So there's a lot of deception here because this person's chasing me, he sees my back. He's less likely to dodge my attacks. All of this damage has caught him completely off guard. He wasn't expecting it. He went from about 80% health down to 30% health, and he has 12 stacks of bleed on him and 14 stacks of torment. I've also shattered. Unfortunately, my clones were too far away from him. Otherwise, he probably would have got downed right there. So he goes into oh shit mode. He evades my shatters, and he clears the conditions that are on him. He goes to do his leap, that's probably traded to heal, but I interrupt that mid-flight with Magic Bullet. Right into an Axis of Symmetry. Now here's the nice thing about having a hybrid build. So a lot of my damage is direct damage, but a lot of it is also coming from conditions. The conditions are a good counter to classes that rely a lot on blocks and invulnerabilities. So this Dragon Hunter was Platinum, but I don't particularly think he was a very good player. Again, I just wanted to go through that fight to kind of help explain why I use double axe. In the last montage that I did, I was trying to make the argument that it's actually my defensive abilities that make this build more OP than the condition damage that I do. I'm going to go ahead and use this fight to kind of explore that argument a little bit more. What you see here is an incoming Weaver. And what you saw there was me using dodge in response to seeing him starting Ride the Light. I have Elusive Mind, but I don't rely on it as a stun break. Why would I? I have 3 stun breaks on my utility bar. The reason why I have Elusive Mind is so I have the condition clear on dodge. It is my only condition clear. You're going to notice when I go through these clips that I'm pretty good at evading abilities. And the reason why that is because how I have my dodge bound. My dodge is bound on a side mouse button, and my thumb is always at rest over that mouse button. It is absolutely the fastest ability I can use out of any of my abilities. For Guild Wars 2, I use that for dodge, but in WoW, I use that for my interrupt, right? My kick to interrupt enemy spells. So there you see, I evaded the Ride the Lightning, I evaded the updraft, I went into an Axe 3, and it hits him coming off of his evasion. He tried to hit me with Arcane Blast, but that got reflected. There I block an Arcane Blast. I get hit with Shocking Ore here, but I had Torch 4 up. Hits him with the Prestige. Right, he's doing a good job of healing here and keeping himself cleansed. Right there, that was another Arcane Blast, which I side evaded to the left. So he's hanging in there, but what's going to happen is eventually he just runs out of condition clears and healing. He has 16 stacks of torment on him. Alright, so he ports away. I go ahead and stealth port to him for the stealth stomp. When I say that I think it's the defensives that make this OP, it doesn't mean that I don't think there's a problem with the condition damage as well. I have 750 condition damage in this armor set. Take a look at these last 3 ticks right here of Torment. 1600, almost 2000, another 1600. That is way too much condition damage for someone that only has 750 condition damage on their build. But my point about the defensives is this. He never put any pressure on me. He didn't force me to heal. It doesn't matter what armor set I use here. I'm going to win that fight if I'm using Dire. I'm going to win the fight if I'm using Marauder. I'm going to win the fight in Grieving, which I did here. I'd win this fight wearing Berserker gear because he can't touch me. As long as my reactions are on point, he has no chance of winning this fight.
Somebody dropped that nerd. God damn it. Thoughts and prayers. Oh, dear God. Hang on. We gotta do this.
Did that guy just JI into me? What?
So it really doesn't matter what game I play, and other people who make 1v1 montages experience the same thing. One of the major criticisms that you get is all of the people that you're fighting suck. Well, that should go without saying because it's a 1v1 montage, so yeah, a lot of the people that are getting killed are not good players. Okay, so here we have a Daredevil. He's Champion Shadow. He's only Bronze. He may or may not be a good player. I mean, Champion Shadow is not really that impressive of a title, but he probably has an idea of what he's doing. Now, he's going to steal to me here, but I'm going to port to where he was. Now, an interesting thing about that is Steel has a range. So there's the range from him to where I was, but when I blinked, it added on the distance from where I was to where I am, and now out of range is his Steel. So he gets some buffs from doing the Steel, but his Steel actually doesn't hit me because it got out of range. Here's an example that I'm talking about that's probably easier to see. All right, so this thief is running here, and I have just hit Magic Bullet. He's clearly in range. There you see the Magic Bullet flying towards him. What he did there was he blinked back at me, and look at what happens. My Magic Bullet was out of range. So you can out of range abilities that are coming towards you by blinking back into your opponent because it adds those two distances together when it calculates whether the attack was out of range or not. So that probably confused the hell out of him. I land a nice Axis of Symmetry there. Okay, he stealths. I'm going to counter that by stealthing myself. Okay, he Cloak and Daggers off of my clone to re-stealth. Now he knows I'm over here, so what I suspect is that he's running this way. He wants to get around behind me. So I'm going to use my clone as defense. So I know he's over here somewhere, and I'm using this clone to get in the way of his attack. Okay, so he comes out there, he hits my clone, I evade his attack. Okay, land another Axis there, and he starts to kite. He stealths, I counter with stealth. Okay, he's just going to use my clones to Cloak and Dagger. So I know his Steel is coming off a cooldown now, so I'm kiting here to bait that Steel out. And there's the evaded Steel into an Axis. Catch him with the stun. And he decides that this fight is no longer worth it. If you looked at this fight, he did not land a single point of damage on me in that fight. Everything he did was countered. Is he a good player or a bad player? How can you tell? Everything he tried to do got countered. So now let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is a tank condition Mesmer. If you take what I have with my grieving Mesmer, where I have this build that has a bunch of defensive tools, but then you add on more health and then also toughness. So here I have 25,000 health and I have 3k armor. In the grieving armor, the previous clips, I only have 2.1k armor. There was a point in time when I was collecting clips on conditioned tank Mesmer because I wanted to show how ridiculously overpowered it was. Now I posted some of those clips, but I made a mistake of posting them to the Mesmer forum. So this is one of the clips that I posted before, and I was informed that this engineer sucked. So if you look at him, he's not even bronze, but he has the Eternal Gladiator title. Doesn't mean he's a good player necessarily, but it means that he's played rated PvP. So now let's see how this fight actually goes. I block his first attack. I'm late on the evasion there, so I get knocked down, but Elusive Mind. This was pre-confusion nerf, so I had 12 stacks of confusion on him there. He runs off, he clears those. He tries to reset the fight here with stealth. I blink there in stealth. So the reason why I blink there is because I don't want him to get lucky with a no-scope on me. If I stay where I was when I stealthed, he might AoE that area and catch me. So I blink to change position to prevent that. I chain stealth here to outlast his stealth so he can't open on me from stealth. Big red circle, I evade out of that. He tries to net me, but he hits the clone. I axe 3, but he evades. I get a couple of axe 2s on him there. He switches to hollow again. I evade. He ends up reflecting a bunch of burning on himself, and then he invulns at low health. At this point, he decides to run, and I really don't blame him for running here because he didn't force my heal, he didn't force my invuln. If he gets through all my defensive tools, he still has to deal with my 25,000 health and my 3k armor.